A little bit of a reality check for the Boston Celtics, who I think lost the mental game as much as they missed shots. Plus, a rant coming up right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT. Karalis recap the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
And welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them every Monday through Friday, right here for free on the number one Celtics podcast, on the number one sports podcast network on the planet. So thank you all for being everydayers and making this show what it is. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been covering this team for about 20 years now, doing this podcast for 10, and I've written a couple of books about the team as well. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com to place your NFL live bets all season long. This show's free. It's available everywhere. It's on YouTube. Get into the comment section there and join the regular listeners. We call them everydayers, people who are with me Monday through Friday. Later on in the third segment, we'll get the Bucks take. It's something new. I want to try to get the other side's take for a minute. And so we'll hear what Camille Davis has to say from Locked On Bucks in the third segment, and we'll react to that. Talk about the stagnant offense and individual nights. But first, let's just get why did the Celtics lose this game? Two reasons, and they're connected. Number one, make-miss. This is a make-miss league. Doc Rivers, I think, made that famous in Boston, but it's true. The Celtics struggled in the second half. They were fine going into halftime, up 14 at one point in the second half. The Bucks made a run. Kuzma made a little bit of a run. They cut it to 7 at halftime, but still plenty of opportunity. The Celtics came out, hit a couple of shots at the beginning of the third quarter, and you think, okay, they're going to be okay. Then it all fell apart. Celtics 0 for 12 from 3 in the third quarter, 3 for 14 from 3 in the fourth. The Bucks shot 7 of 12 from 3 in the second half. The Boston Celtics took 11 more shots overall and 14 more three-pointers, but they lost the second half by 22 because they shot 26% after halftime. And that, I think, got in their heads a little bit. Also, the Milwaukee Bucks got in their heads a little bit. You had trash talk from Kyle Kuzma early on, jawing at Jaylen Brown, saying something about his Twitch stream, I think. You had Kevin Porter Jr. kind of like not stepping over Jaylen Brown, but kind of stepping into the vicinity. Derek White kind of intervened a little bit there. And then Bobby Portis in the third quarter hits a turnaround jumper on Jaylen, gets up in his face. And I think from there, what ended up happening was the Celtics, I think they let the misses impact their defense. The defense wasn't exactly where it needed to be. And then they let the trash talking get into their heads because in the second half, the Celtics got away from everything that was working. The sets that they were running, just the offense that was working, that all went away in the second half, and it just became a big pigeon hunt. They call it pigeon hunting when you're just constantly trying to find mismatches. The Celtics put up 67 points in the first half. That is absolutely fine. They allowed 60, which is not great, but they put up 67, which is great. That's 134 points. In the second half, they scored 34 points. Bad. Sorry to hit you with a hard-hitting analysis, but 34 points and a half is bad. You want to take a second to process that hard-hitting information. They got outscored by 22. They allowed 56. They scored 34. Again, 3 of 26, 11.5% from 3 in the second half, 26% overall in the second half. That, I think, got in their heads. They completely lost the mental game. And I think one of the things you're going to hear on everybody's reactions after this game was the break bad for them in some way. Like they totally needed the time off. They absolutely needed the time off. It was getting to be a bit much, but at the same time, man, what an upswing. 5 in a row, 8 of 10 or whatever it was. You're the third seed. People are talking about, oh my God, Jayson Tatum can come back. This is a team that nobody's going to want to play in the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. It's the middle of December and everybody's like, wow, is Brad Stevens going to be a buyer and everything? And these guys have 3 days off, get off your feet for a couple of days, and you just scroll through your phone and you're like, oh, look, everybody loves us. Oh, they think we're awesome now too. Oh, look how great they think we are near. We used to call it reading your press clippings because there were literal clippings from the newspaper where when your name was in the paper, you literally used to cut it out and be like, oh, look, my name was in the paper. Now it's whatever you want to call it, reading your social media, whatever. And I do think there's a little bit of, Brad Stevens loves to say it. Joe Mazzulla loves to say it. Praise can be as dangerous as the criticism. You struggle and you get criticized, and that can be damaging if you pay too close attention to it. Praise, same thing. Everybody loves you. And I think there's some element of the Celtics went into Milwaukee. No Giannis. Was it Green was out? They were struggling. Lots of people talking about what's going on in Milwaukee and Giannis going to get traded and all that. And I think the Celtics went in and were like, all right, we got this. We got it. We're good. Go up 13, relax, gets cut to 6. Go up 14, relax, gets cut to 7. Come out in the third quarter, hit a couple shots. Well, we're good. We're good. And then Milwaukee gets up in their face, starts really ramping up the trash talk, really ramping up the pressure. Their defensive pressure was much better in the second half. And the Celtics are just like, oh, we don't like this. And they kind of wilted. I think, and they certainly wilted under the pressure of missed shots as well. Because now you're going up against, a team in transition. And Kuzma killed them in transition. Portis did too, but the misses led to runouts, led to cross matches, led to opportunities, and the Bucks couldn't miss. Kuzma, yeah, sure, he has a hook shot in his bag, but spinning a hook shot, like, come on. What are you talking about? No. They got hot. They got super hot. Portis finished the game. What did he finish the game? This was 7 of 9 in the second half. He shot 11 of 13, 5 of 6 from 3. 27 points. Come on. Kyle Kuzma, 13 of 17, shot 76%. Come on. Make miss. But they got in the Celtics' heads. The offense got stagnant because the Celtics lost the mental game. I'll talk about that. And I got a rant coming up here after the break. Where was Jordan Walsh when Bobby Portis was getting up in Jaylen Brown's face? I got a problem with this. That's next. Today's show is brought to you by ZocDoc. It's 2025. It's almost 2026. And those days of waiting for something to become a full-blown emergency before you see a doctor, those days are gone. No more walking it off for 6 months. No more pretending the weird shoulder stiffness is just sleeping wrong. It's time to take your health seriously, and ZocDoc makes that easier than ever because staying healthy is more than hitting the gym and eating right. It's actually getting things checked out when something feels off. Using ZocDoc makes scheduling easier. You can search for in-network doctors and book right in the app. There are real appointment times listed, including same-day visits. No more back-and-forth phone calls or waiting for weeks to be seen. Why wait weeks? So it's super helpful for routine checkups and those little issues you've been meaning to get checked out. The app is quick, clean, and honestly removes all the stress of finding the right doctors. And you can get real patient reviews, not ads. So stop putting off the doctor's appointments and get the care you need. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly, like instantly. Book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics the number one Celtics podcast in the world, right here on the number one sports podcast network. Now we're asking you to take it to the next level. Join the new Everydayer Club, right? You get exclusive access to the show through, first of all, ad-free for $5 a month or $50 a year. You get exclusive access to our Discord and a whole lot more. You just got to go to LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com, LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com, or if you want to check the full list, LockedOnPodcast.com/Everydayer, the Everydayer Club, $5 a month for ad-free and a lot of other stuff, or if you want to pay for the year, $50 for the year. Well, let's get back to this. Let's talk about the stagnant offense first, because I got one stat here that tells me everything you need to know about how this offense stagnated. And that's the shots for Jordan Walsh and Josh Minott. Walsh got 7 shots in the first half. Josh Minott got 3. Walsh made all 7. So 10 shots between them. When the ball's moving and they're running offense, they're collapsing the defense, they're spraying out to the corners, spray, swing, that kick swing action. That's where Jordan gets his shots. That's where Josh gets his shots. Second half, Jordan gets 3 shots in the second half. Josh gets 1 because the ball was not moving and they started isolating. So if you want any stat to tell you the offense wasn't running the way it was supposed to run, that's it. Those guys, the overflow guys, the drive, kick, swing guys, those guys weren't getting the ball. It just became, Kevin Porter wants to be, he wants to say something. Let me go right at him. I'll go right at him. Jaylen Brown goes right at him. Now, Jaylen had a 30-point game and all of that stuff. That was great. But I didn't like the way they ran the offense in the second half. So the mental game, when I say they lost the mental game, that's what I'm talking about. They tried to isolate. They tried to go one-on-one. They tried to go at Porter. They tried to go at Kuzma. They tried to do these, they tried to go mano a mano. And that's not where the Celtics' strengths are at all. At all. Obviously, Jaylen can isolate, but the whole game can't be that. They can't, that trash talk can't be effective. Can't let that in your head. So that brings me to the third quarter. Bobby Portis hits a turnaround jumper, starts to run back, and then turns and gets right up in Jaylen Brown's face. Now, I don't know if they're cool with each other. I don't know what's going on, because Jaylen just kind of gave a weak little push, and they gave the tech to Bobby Portis. What I want to know is, where was Jordan Walsh in all of this? Jordan Walsh was right next to the play and running down the court. And I don't know, maybe this is a little too 80s basketball, which lives deep in my soul. And I am, I miss the days of a hard foul, going out there, kind of policing yourselves a little bit. Be like, you want to pull this stuff? No problem. Come into the lane again, see what happens, and put a guy on his butt on the floor and let him know you can't be pulling that. Okay, you can't do that anymore. But it doesn't mean you can let this go, right? Bobby Portis turn around, hits that shot, goes up in Jordan in Jaylen Brown's face, starts woofing, yelling, turns around. They call the tech on him. He doesn't care. He goes down in the other corner, is pumping up the crowd. They're pumping him up. He is just on fire. The whole building just rises up. They took complete control in that moment. Where's Jordan Walsh? Remember Summer League, Jordan Walsh, the guy who got ejected? The guy went, somebody, I don't even know who it was, came back at him. He pushed him, did the whole woo, that whole thing, got up in his face, showed that intensity. Where was that guy? Where was that guy? And I know I got mad at him, but I got mad at him for getting ejected because he didn't remember that he had 2 techs. But where was that attitude? Where was that in this? Your superstar was getting punked right in front of you. The game was falling out of reach. The moment was there. Bobby Portis was pumping up the crowd. Everybody could see it. It was like an anime, big ball of energy. I was waiting for like red and blue lightning and him to like power up or something. Where were you? You're the guy. You're supposed to be that guy. You're the big defensive wild card. You're supposed to be the guy, the energy guy. That's part of your job. When someone is punking your star, you got to go do something. You got to go say something. You got to get in his face. You take a tech as well. Let them know this ain't happening on my watch. You can't just sit there and watch and be like, oh, wow, man, the crowd's really getting into this. No. Bobby Portis gets up in Jaylen Brown's face. When he turns around, he should be staring right in the eyes of Jordan Walsh. You wanted to be that guy in Summer League. Where was that tough guy? Where was that energy? Joe Mazzulla texted him after, love that energy. Where was that? It just felt the whole thing. No one on that team, no one said a thing. The most we got was Kevin Porter stepping up to a Jaylen Brown on the floor and Derek kind of like walking up and just being like, And I don't expect that from Derek White. Derek was just like, okay, don't do that. Where's the fire? Where is that? That bothered me, man. That bothered me. When they come out and just smack you in the face and punk you like that, and you don't do a thing, no response, nothing, says a lot in that moment to me. Now, it's a learning experience. It's an opportunity here, but you just can't let that moment go by without saying anything. With that, no push, no finger wag in the face, no Jay Crowder booping John Wall's nose, getting up into his face. That's what made those teams, the Isaiah Thomas team, so much fun, because everybody had chips on their shoulders, right? Jay Crowder, if that happened to Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder would have come in with a cross body block, a flying elbow, Macho Man Randy Savage style. You would have done something. They would have stood up for each other. And I'm not saying this in any way to suggest they don't have each other's backs. I know they all love each other. But what I'm saying is, in that moment, it calls for a response. It calls for some fire, some energy. The Bucks took all the energy in that moment. They took the game. They took the heart. They had the entire building in the palm of their hands. Bobby Portis. They were chanting, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby. You cannot let that happen. All he did was hit a turnaround jumper and get in Jaylen Brown's face, and he took a tech and Bobby, Bobby, and you let it happen. You just let it happen. You can't do that. You can't do that. All right. That's my rant. We'll come back. We'll talk about individual performances, and we'll get the Bucks side of things when we return. Today's show is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems, and this is what the time of the year that it takes. We take a look at the messier parts of running a business, and you think there's got to be a better way. And there is. Today's show brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. If you're ready to make your workday smoother and keep customers connected without headaches, Quo makes upgrading your setup easier than ever. A streamlined system makes such a big difference when communicating with customers. Having calls, texts, and voicemails in one clean view keeps everything organized, helps you stay responsive. Being able to share one team number makes it so much easier to make sure nothing gets missed. Super easy. Works in your home computer, works in your phone. You keep your existing number and you can add teammates in minutes. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. Sundays move fast in the NFL, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. If you're not watching the game, you're reacting to it. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, the momentum swings, everything at your fingertips. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. So you get a receiver getting hot, you get Drake May getting hot, you have every opportunity there to bet on the live spreads and the money lines and adjust instantly. You got player props that update as guys heat up, and you can bet things like the next touchdown scores, the drive results, totals, all of that stuff. You can keeps you locked in on every snap, every drive, every possibility. If you want to get into the middle of the action, visit FanDuel.com, place your live bets all season long. When you sign up, make sure you use the tools that are available to you to set your budget, set your limit. They'll ask you right away, please do that. Whatever you can afford to lose in case you're going on a cold streak, protect yourself, do that. They'll stop you. When you can replenish those funds, then you can get back to it and have fun. Go to FanDuel. Game moves fast, and so can you. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. For your second listen, go to Locked On NBA Game Night, Locked On NBA, both on the same feed. Game Night, 7 days a week, covering the association. I do that on Wednesdays. Jake Madison is back from his honeymoon. I'm looking forward to covering a night with Jake again. So subscribe to Locked On NBA Game Night. Also fill in on other nights too. So just got to listen all the time. And Locked On NBA in the afternoons gets you covered on all the big stories. So check that out. Both in the same feed wherever you found this podcast. All right, individual performances. As I said, Jaylen Brown had another 30-point night. And as typically, you look at the numbers, you say, wow, 30 points, 10 of 17 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 8 of 9 from the line. Like offensively, just brilliant game. 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Still a minus 15, but that's going to happen in games like this. My only criticism with Jaylen is too much ISO, too much, like I said, pigeon hunting, too much getting caught up in the moment. I think he just got too caught up in, like, he felt like he was getting punked, and I think he wanted to answer, and they got away from moving the ball. So the 3 assists, probably a function of guys missing a ton of shots. So, but I still wanted him to move the ball a little bit better, but still overall another 30-point night on super high efficiency. So he's so damn good now that he can have this awesome night and be like, yeah, he could have done some other stuff better. That's how good he is. Jordan Walsh, first half was incredible, 7 of 7. The defense off the charts, all of that stuff. Second half was kind of disappeared. But again, because the offense stagnated, he kind of disappeared. Josh Minot wasn't really much in this game. So, but the beginning of the game was just Jordan doing all kinds of stuff. Like, I really like where he's going. I like how this is progressing for him. Pritchard had a rough shooting night. Derek White had a rough shooting night. 5 of 20 for the two of them, 3 of 11 for Pritchard, 2 of 9 for Derek White. Not the best shooting night for these guys. Sam Hauser, an absolute disaster. 0 for 10, 0 for 9 from 3. 3 of those misses came on the same possession. This was the ultimate disaster possession where Sam gets a great look from 3, misses. Celtics, I think Keita gets an offensive rebound. Keita, by the way, awesome rebounding night, 10 rebounds, 5 offensive, just a monster on the boards. Still needs some work when he gets the ball in the dunker spot. That's just another stage in his development. He has to figure out how to score, how to be effective in the dunker spot, especially when the passes aren't exactly where they're supposed to be or exactly on time. He still has to figure out how to finish. There are easy ways to learn that, but he's just got to learn that. So that's the next part of his development. Anyway, Keita gets an offensive rebound. Hauser gets another look at a 3. I think Walsh gets an offensive rebound. Ball works around. Hauser, great cut, gets the ball, goes up for a layup, biffs the layup as well. So 3 misses on that same possession. Just a complete disaster night for Hauser. Back home, back in Wisconsin. He's from Wisconsin. So I don't know. Too much beer cheese soup, I guess, which is a real thing, which is an amazing just mess of a concoction. Let's take beer and cheese, which we can eat separately just fine, and let's just melt them into a soup, which I've had, and it's not bad, but I don't know how anybody in Wisconsin lives past the age of 40 because there's just so much cheese and cholesterol and all that stuff. Anyway, Hauser, just disaster game. Just nobody shot well. This is actually, I shouldn't say that. Jordan Walsh shot well. He just didn't get enough shots, and Jaylen Brown shot well. So those are the individual performances. Yeah, let's do that. We're doing this. I'm going to start doing this season. Getting a little bit from the other side. It's not going to happen every game, but we're going to do it as often as we can. So here's the Bucks side of things from Camille Davis from Locked On Bucks.
That's a real good win for the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm the sick and tired Camille Davis coming to you after the Bucks' 15-point win over the Celtics, a much-needed win for a Bucks team that's been hearing a lot of noise. It was a shooting variance game for sure. The Celtics shot great from 3 in the first half, shot terribly from 3 in the second half. Meanwhile, you have Bobby Portis and Kyle Kuzma combining for 58 points on 80% shooting from the field. You got to try to win games when Kuz and BP give you that much. Plus, they got contribution from Kevin Porter Jr., who started the game off really slow, picked it up in the second half, finished with a triple-double of his own. Also, shout out to Cole Anthony and to Gary Harris. Cole Anthony has not been in the rotation since Kevin Porter Jr. came back, and with reason, he had not been playing good. So he bounced back in this game a bit for the Bucks with some impactful minutes. Plus, Gary Harris, a 0 in that points column. 2 rebounds for him, 2 assists, something like that? Yeah, but he was a team high plus 26. Did all the little things for the Bucks. Played defense, moved the ball, etc., etc. A really good win for a Bucks team that desperately needed one.
Yeah, they desperately needed a win in Milwaukee. And that added to, I think, that energy and why they came out the way they did. You had to know going in that they're gonna have that desperation, right? There's just there was such a mess with all the Giannis talk, and I met with the team. No, he never met with us, and who knows what's going on with that. There is pride there, and they don't want to be held captive by whatever Giannis is doing, whatever Giannis wants, whatever's happening over there. Nobody wants to fall victim to that stuff. And so these guys are capable. Kuzma is capable. They talked about it on the broadcast that, Kuzma will either give you 30 or he'll give you 10. And I wrote about it in the preview on Boston Sports Journal, who, where I said, like, this could be a night where, a less than shooter kind of gets going, and Kuzma is not the best shooter in the world, but he got going with 31 points. Portis 27 points. He's capable. This is stuff that he's capable of doing, but combined 24 of 30. It's one of those crazy nights. You could easily just distill this down to Kuzma and Portis shot like insane numbers, and Pritchard and White and Hauser shot horribly. And that's it. Like, the second half was an unmitigated disaster, complete lids on the basket. And you just say, hey, when they miss shots, and that's it. But the reality check is you gotta play not perfect, but the margin for error is still very thin for this team. And if certain things don't go right, they're not going to survive. They're just not going to survive a bad shooting night. They're very rarely going to be able to have that kind of shooting performance and make up for it in other ways. On top of it, you can't have the mental breakdowns that they had. They did do a lot of things that you can point to and say, look, they won. When you talk about margins, They won the margins. 20 more three-point attempts, 9 more shot attempts overall, 8 more made free throws, 8 more offensive rebounds, 2 more steals, 2 fewer turnovers, and you still lost. Shooting variance, 100% shooting variance. But how do you get away from the shooting variance stuff? It's just trying to manufacture better shots and just finding a way. You just got to find a way to start making them, finding a way to get back on track. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and you can easily chalk it up. I just didn't like the way the Bucks took over mentally and kind of took control of that game and rode that momentum, playing with confidence. If you ever wonder, what does it mean when they say playing with confidence? That second half from the Milwaukee Bucks is exactly what it looks like. Playing with confidence is that second half Milwaukee Bucks. That's it. And the Celtics let the misses pile up and get into their heads, and the trash talk get into their heads, and it's a recipe for disaster. Happens. The Celtics team told you they're going to be ups and downs. This is a down. Now, how quickly, Joe Mazzulla says this all the time, how quickly can you get back to being yourself? That's the big thing. How quickly can you return to normal? You got a chance on Monday against the Detroit Pistons, who you've played great. Like that's going to be another fun game at home. So it's an opportunity to get back on track. I will be there, hopefully podcasting from the arena. So subscribe. Show's available everywhere. It is for free. You can read my stuff at Boston Sports Journal. Check that out there. Remember, we have the Everydayer Club, which you can find at lockedonceltics.supercast.com. $5 a month or $50 for the year. You get ad-free access. You get an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, exclusive access to national bonus shows, members-only Locked On merchandise, all of that stuff. And by the way, if we're on your Spotify Wrapped, tag us on social media, and you'll get a month free. We'll send you a code. You got to tag the National Locked On Podcast Network account. They'll send you a code, and you get $5 off. You get 5 months for 1 month free, $5. So check that out. And now I would love it if you share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.